Assalamualaikum, I'm Natasha and now we start the presentation of our project for ICT450, which is Sport Equipment Lending System. So in our group we have 5 members, Atira, Ain, Ashraf, Nurin and me. So the problem statement is data stored manually causes more cost is needed to provide space and damages cannot be tracked easily. Then it is a waste of time and energy to go through all data, and high risk of failure since the data is stored only at one place. It requires a lot of time and energy to find certain data manually. This also causes some damages recorded to be overlooked, which later causes some loss. Then there will also be some risks since the staff will need to handle a lot of data and the staff need to be trained to follow the procedures. Then the objectives of our project is to design sport equipment lending database system, to develop sport equipment lending database system, to lend sport equipment to the user, to manage sport equipment efficiently, and lastly, to make sport lending process more systematic. Now I will pass to Ashraf.
Thank you, Natasha. So we move on to next part. My name is Muhammad Ashraf and I will explain about business rule and entity relationship diagram. So our first business rule is each user may borrow more than one sports equipment. The sports equipment lending is limited to 5 items only. This rule ensures flexibility for our users while maintaining a reasonable restriction on the number of items they can borrow. And our second business rule is each equipment getting lent by many users. To visually represent these business rules, we have created an entity relationship diagram. On the diagram, you will see entities such as user, equipment, supplier, user equipment, and the relationship between them. We choose user ID, supplier ID, equipment code, lending date, and return date as a primary key because, as we know, the characteristic of a primary key include being not null and unique. So these attributes have no redundancy. As for foreign key, we choose an attribute whose values match primary key values in the related table, such as supplier code. Our first entity is user, with their attribute is user ID as a primary key, and also username, user email, user password, user contact number. It links with user equipment with relationship one-to-many. The relationship between user and equipment originally was many-to-many, so we make a new entity named user equipment as a bridge between them. In user equipment, we got attribute primary key and foreign key 1, user ID, primary key and foreign key 2, equipment code, and primary key, lending date, primary key, return date. Then we got quantity and also penalty fee. Our third business rule is each equipment supplied by a supplier, and our fourth business rule is each supplier supplies many equipment. This relationship supports a dynamic and diverse range of sports equipment in our inventory. So here in our ERD, we got entity supplier with their attribute is supplier ID as a primary key, so supplier name, supplier address, and supplier contact number. It also connect with equipment with relationship one-to-many. In equipment entity, we got primary key, which is equipment code. Then we got equipment name, equipment quantity, and also supplier code as a foreign key. Our last business rule is the sport equipment lending that has been made by the user need to be identified by lending date, return date, quantity, and penalty fee. Penalty fee need to be paid if the user returns the equipment more than 3 days. So we can see here, equipment is linked with user equipment with a relationship one-to-many. That's all from me. So we move on to the next part of our presentation, which is database demonstration.
Thank you, Ashraf. So next, I am Nur Atira Kristina and I will show how to fill in the form. For the first time user, they need go to login form first and then choose first time user button. Pop-up message will appear and there have some reminder to the user that they have to return the sport equipment within 3 days or else there will be a penalty fee. Click OK to return to the home page. And then for those who did not have the account, they need to sign up first and fill in their information such as user ID, name, email, password and contact number. Then click submit button and the details will be added in the user table. Next, they officially sign up as the user so they can go to home page to fill in their user ID and password. Then click login button. Next, the user will see equipment form page and they have to fill in some details to borrow sport equipment such as user ID, quantity of the equipment name, landing date and return date. Make sure the return date is not more than 3 days or else penalty fee will be calculated. Let me just try to make the date is more than 3 days and let's see what happens. Then click add record button. Before we go to report page, we need to click calculate penalty fee queries and click enter twice so that the calculation will be made. Then click open report button and then we will see the information of the user and sport landing equipment details that we just filled in before will be added to the report page. So here we can see the details about Nur Alia binti Muhammad and penalty fee is taken to the user because she returned the equipment more than 3 days.
Thank you so much, Christina. Next, after running the program, I, Nurul Ain Intan, will explain where our users' data or information goes. All the data that users insert from sign up page before will be updated into user table accordingly. From the screen, we can see that the name insert before, which is Nur Alia, already updated in the table user. Then, in user equipment table, which is landing table, also has Nur Alia data from landing date to return date and also a penalty fee that she needs to pay after returning the sport equipment. Penalty fee will update it automatically from query. After that, I will show the navigation form or page for user easily insert data or find their ways to landing sport equipment. Our navigation form has first time user page, sign up page, login page, landing page that name user equipment, supplier page started with code, name, address and contact number for admin's references. Then, we have report pages starting with spot landing system report for all references, number of lander report that make to track who landing currently, user in January report for people that landing in January only, and lastly user with penalty report that admin can track who needs to pay after return the sport equipment easily.
Thank you, Nurul Ain. So next, I, Nurin Umairah, will present about the conclusion of this project. The conclusion of this project is that Sport Equipment Landing System is a computerized management system. This system keeps all the data of hardware assets besides software of this organization. The proposed system will keep a track of user, supplier, sport equipment and the process of booking the equipment. Next, this project uses Microsoft Access software that will help in storing, updating and retrieving the data through various user-friendly menu-driven modules. Main objective of this project is to keep the schedule of this system more systematic and finished by the appointed time. Besides, this project is aimed to help the admin to manage the equipment's information more efficiently. The admin of this system can search for particular equipment and easily to view its information. The system also will update the list of equipment in the database every time the landing process is complete. Not only that, but this system also speed up the calculation of the penalty fee from the date of borrowing to the date of return after maximum required date given. All the records are to be maintained for each detail for each user, supplier, equipment and the landing process. All these details were entered and retrieved manually. And because of this, there are many disadvantages like time-consuming, updating process and also inaccuracy of data. For avoiding this, we introduce or propose a new system in computerized version of the existing system which provides an easy and quick access over the data. That's all from us. Thank you.